We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Wait for a few last people to come on in. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Perfect. It looks like a few more people are trickling in. And we don't need to sit at groups, so feel free to sit wherever. Help yourself to some snacks. So, this should be a little bit of a shorter meeting. We'll be from 4 to 5-ish in here today because this is a follow-up meeting. And then we'll have an optional tour of Clackamas River Elementary School starting at 5-ish. You guys can go ahead and drive over there and we'll show you the conditions of Clackamas River. I'd recommend it if you have not seen the inside of Clackamas River before, aren't familiar with it, or some of the maintenance challenges that it's facing. So first, I just want to say thank you all for coming again. I know last week was a tough one as we tried to grapple with a lot of these decisions. I do want to just preface here that the decisions that we are making here are not the end-all be-all of a potential bond. This is just a really important conversation that we're hearing from staff and community members to help us decide really the path that we're going to go on. This is not a final step or a final destination. This is just kicking off what will be a months and months long process. So I do want to take a little bit of pressure off of you guys and clarify that a little bit. And feel free to have any questions throughout today. Again, this is a little bit more of a laid back meeting. A couple of things I wanted to bring up first of all on the agenda. One was a follow-up from our last meeting. We had a question about the number of out-of-district students that we are hosting within our schools. I know as we talk about capacity, we wonder, well, is there just kids pouring from other districts that are heightening this number? And we looked at all of our records requests and addresses for students, and we have, I believe, five students in our district that are out-of-district students that we are not required to have in, for example, because they are homeless or in a foster care situation. Again, those students we are legally required to host in our district regardless of where they live. But students that are not in those circumstances, we have 5 students right now. So it's a pretty small portion of our overall district total. So the growth that is occurring is genuinely occurring inside our boundaries. We also wanted to follow up a little bit on bond data and our tax calculator. I know we floated a lot of different options for costs and how would this impact us, and how does this compare with what other districts are facing and what other districts have proposed to their communities. So we wanted to share a little bit more of that data to help it make sense to you guys. And then our final activity, we want to vote on, you'll see back here, there is a ton of different options that we've floated out here. We just wanted to see what your preference is. So we've given you stickers. We have a first, second, and third option, so you can vote on each of those and see where our consensus is. So next I wanted to go over to some bond data, and I'll give you guys some time to look at this as well. So last time we were in a group, we talked about this bond calculator, and we have added some data on here. I will send out this link again after this meeting so you can play around with this, and we'll be making this publicly available as well. But as you can see, we've utilized the average assessed property value in Estacada. Again, remember that number is going to be much smaller than the real market value. That's why 200,000 is around average for Estacada. So currently, that person would be paying $234 a year for our current bond package. You'll see over there we have a $36 million bond option. That would continue that current cost because, again, that drops off in 2025. That would just keep that smoothed out there. We have a $60 million option you see for this average Estacada taxpayer. That would be $338 a year. An $80 million option is $442. 109 is around $600. 130 million is $700, and 150 million is $800 approximately. So what we've done is we've given you package options that go up by 20 million, so you have lots of different options. We've kind of talked about some of the things that those options could cover. Again, this is subject to some changes as we go down a potential road, but you're at least able to see what the tax burden is for an Estacadan and what it would get our schools and community. So, does anyone have any questions about this bond calculator? Yeah.
Could you just maybe show again 350,000 assessed value?
Yeah. So we played with a house earlier today that the real market value was about $1 million home, and their assessed value was $380,000. So again, this is a home that would sell on the market for $1 million. The value that they're being taxed on is $380,000. So let's look at what a around $1 million home would be paying. So currently, that home is paying a little over $400 annually. We go up to $642, $839, $1,100, $1,300, and $1,500. And then we've broken down the monthly cost as well. So we go between $37 a month up to $127. So it would be approximately $90 more for that $1 million home.
Is this something you guys made?
This is a, yeah.
So I guess my question would be, or I think a thing I would like to see on there is just the difference, like the difference per month. Like, so like from where we are right now, how much more is each one of those things? Instead of just telling me the $95.05 a month, like that is $30 more per month. That is $50 more than what you're currently paying. I mean, I know they can figure it out. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it'd be something that I was trying to do in my head. I had to do a lot of.
That's a great suggestion. You got to break out the calculator a little bit to calculate the difference. So we can add that onto this calculator. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be an additional to what we're already paying?
No.
Or is that total?
This is the
Oh,
total.
okay.
Yep. Total number.
I got you.
With this calculator, I think this is great, by the way. Oh, sorry. And I know that with the calculator's great, and I know that we're also working on the potential matching grant. Would that matching grant also maybe bring down the calculator based off of the match, if that's making any sense whatsoever.
Oh, great question. So the matching grant is just added on top. So it doesn't reduce any costs. It just adds a little bit more. So technically, people from Portland get to pay for Estacada schools because the matching grant comes from funds from around the state of Oregon. So again, that's a lottery system. It would be $4 million in matching grant funds, and that's just whether or not we win the lottery on that one. Any last questions before we move on to comparing with other districts? Okay, again, I'll be sending out that link. Feel free to play with it. And then at the top of the calculator, this link right here is where you can type in your home address and you can find what it would cost your house or your neighbor. So hopefully this is a useful tool for all of you, and you can direct other people to it as well if they're wondering how much it would cost them. So,
Where will this be on, like online, in case you want to just tell someone where to find it?
great question. We're gonna add it, I believe it's under the About Us and Community page on our website under Long Range Planning. So next I'll turn it over to Christina to talk about those options that are up on the wall.
So after our last meeting, we wanted to have a few more options, like Maggie said. So we asked for more information about what it would cost with the 20 million increments. And you can see here, the orange one, the first one, is if we continue our current levy amount, which that would give us about $37 million, and that is for 20 years. Oh, blow it up. The next column is for 60 million, and that would, you can see right here, so you see 2023 and 24, we would stay at our current rate, and then our new year would be added in 2025, so that would bring us up to $1.69. So you see how to read that? So then the 80 million, it would give us, it would go up to $2.21. And then the 109, it would go up to $2.96, 97 cents. And then the 130 would be $3.51. And then the 150 would be the $4.04. Sorry. Any questions on this? I have a few more slides to show. Okay, go ahead. So kind of just a little graph to show you the jump. Ginny.
So like the price of this, does this include like where the property is gonna be located, like buying property or just using the property here? Like the one with the elementary and an high school?
These are potential packages. They're not final packages right now. That would be something we would work through with the board. It's just right now these are potential package and dollar amounts to consider.
Okay.
One more question.
So do these amounts calculate in just a static population? So if the population increases, these amounts go down
Yeah,
per household?
and I'll show you that a little bit later, but so there's twofold on that. So the way our bonds are amortized, we pay more as the bond goes on, but as our population grows, it actually is less per person. Does that make sense?
Pie gets smaller.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So, and I'll follow up on that for a second. So like with our last bond we passed, we did see the rate decrease over time, but we don't have a crystal ball. We can't tell for certain. So this is just as the current population is right now. Mm-hmm. So it will fluctuate, as Christina said.
And then here's just a quick little graph to show you the difference in each package, the levy amount. And then right here, we've showed you this before, but I wanted to show you with each one of the packages where we would compare with other school district. And this is the full bond amount, the full levy tax rate amount. So we have our permanent rate, which you can see right there. Oh, you can't see. We're at 4.14, which is very low. And this will never change. This is when I think Measure 5 came out. We got this amount, and that rate can never change. And then you can see over there in the bond rate, we're currently at $1.17. So we're at the second from the bottom right there. And then you can kind of see where each one of those packages would take us, comparison and that.
It's also worth noting that some of these other districts that are lower on the list are either currently or plan to go out for a bond soon. So we could potentially be at the very bottom of the list.
Yeah, Malala. Colton, yep. Yep, okay. And then this is kind of to answer your question. So this is just for information about our historical of our last bond. You can see it did go up a tiny bit, but the last few years as we've been really growing, you can see that our bond, our levy rate has gone down each year. Any questions on that? Okay. I think I had one more. Can you go back 2 slides? I forgot. Can you click that 5-year past school bonds? So one of the questions that came up last time is someone wanted to know what bonds, school bonds were going for. So this is historical for the last 5 years of all the school districts and organs and the bonds that have been passed. Kind of to take a look at. And then I think down at the bottom, it's about the average of all these is about 92, 93 million. And I have on there the extended ADMWs too. So I think this is something, are we gonna share this too on our site?
We haven't shared it yet, but we can share it, yeah. And so ADMW is the student population. So we have a lot of different districts that have big populations, small populations, but you can kind of see on average what other districts are asking their communities. And on average, a bond is about $92 million over the past 5 years.
Yep. So, and that's all I have to share. Any questions? Yeah.
With this particular graph, do we have any idea as to how many didn't pass? I was just curious.
Great question. No, I can easily do that. Because I just quickly, I said school bonds in Oregon, and I got the no's and yeses, and I deleted all the no's, but I could go back and get them.
I was just kind of curious to see, how many actually did go,
Yeah.
learn, and maybe learn from that, I guess, too, from
Yeah.
at the same.
I didn't see us on the no.
You
But I would be happy if that's information you guys want. I'd be happy to pull that back up.
Like 140 people voted total, 4 million.
Yeah, I was just noticing though that so we are thinking maybe, one of the options is 150. And if I look at those amounts, that school district has 8,000 students in it for Westland, or what was it? Oregon City.
David Douglas.
There's David Douglas, but then go down, there was one for Oregon City. Yeah,
Oregon City
158.
was 1.128, I think. Wasn't it? 158?
What, is that the amount of No, I'm sorry. I was thinking that 8,000 was the number.
That's ADMW, so that's not just enrollment, that's how they're paid from the state. So
Okay.
that's weighted, so that's including, they get special weight for student with
Disabilities.
students with special education, students with ESL.
So there isn't a column on there that just says their student population?
No, I didn't
Okay,
have
okay.
that information.
I think one thing that is worth noting too is this is just one piece of the puzzle. Many of these districts that pass these bonds have multiple bonds going at one time. This is something we very often see in the Portland metro area, is we only have one bond going on right now. Many districts, they're stacking 2-3 bonds on top of each other. So they may pass a $50 million bond. They may also currently be paying for an $80 million bond. So every school district just structures that a little bit differently based on what their community can support and stomach.
Does it show multiple ones?
What?
Does it show,
The
They would have
notes?
had to
I got
pass
rid
them in
of
the
all
past
notes.
5 years.
not the house, like, I wanted to see if like, let's see, Westland. Westland shows.
No, it shows bonds they passed in the last 5 years.
But they probably still have another one on the books, realistically. A lot of bonds we looked at also have levies. Levies support staff and operational costs as well.
So maybe related to that, is it normal for bonds to include deferred maintenance because all of our options do? Is that just a normal process?
In the state of Oregon, really, there's not many other ways that school districts can pay for maintenance. We have a pot of money that we get from the county and the city. It's called CET tax, and that's for permits that are opened in our area. But the general fund, or state school fund we get, that's for our operating budget. That's to maintain our salaries, our students. It's not for the deferred cost.
If you look at districts like Gresham Barlow or a lot of the other districts nearby that have passed bonds, like Gresham Barlow did a massive amount of deferred maintenance. It's pretty standard for bonds to tackle that along with building new spaces. Just as Christina said, the way budgets are structured in Oregon for schools.
Yeah, I mean, 80% of our states, our revenue is on salaries.
All right, any other questions before? I think we're moving on to voting, correct? Any other questions? And we're happy to take questions after voting as well. Sure.
Just to reiterate, we're mainly voting on the dollar amount but you give us below what it could possibly include, but it's not, like you said, it's not a for sure thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, particularly things like deferred maintenance, we might tackle a little bit more. We might include some small projects, but we probably wouldn't do a bait and switch and say 130 million is going to include a new high school and then instead build a big new district office. So the big bucket items will probably remain the same. Some of the smaller things will likely adjust as we go down that path further.
Maggie, did you talk about what we're gonna do with this data afterwards?
Yeah, so this information, the most popular items, we will be utilizing to help determine what we should be polling our community on. Great question. So again, taking a little bit of the weight off of you guys, this is just a group of 20 people. While you guys have great opinions and have gone through this whole process, so I think your insight is really valuable, we also want to turn this back out to the broader community. So if you guys say you want a $150 million option, okay, we'll poll the community on that and see if that absolutely tanks our community support or if it remains pretty steady. So that's what your decisions today are going to be functioning in, is a broader community poll. And then we'll bring you guys back together probably sometime at the end of May to discuss both the polling results and our finalized population study to make one final recommendation once you've gotten the broader community's input. Thank you. Voting guidelines?
So with the stickers that you were handed when you came in, we're going to go ahead and give you direction. So the blue sticker is your number one choice. And then we'll do yellow is your number 2 and red is your number 3 priority. So
Yeah, I guess I'm just more for like information. I was on that great thing called Facebook today, and they are talking about the culinary classes getting cut, but reading the comments, and I agree with them, but anyway, but the comments are, they paid so much money, you know, a few years back to upgrade the kitchen, and now they're gonna cancel the class, so it just doesn't look real good for like how a district spends their money. And so I think we're definitely gonna have to really battle that, because the community, it's just another, you know, thing about that.
Yeah, that's a valid perception. So we have a pretty strong vision for our CTE programs that we'll be releasing more information about in the coming days, but we will be still utilizing the equipment that is utilized in that space. That equipment also came from grants, so it didn't come out of our general fund budget, the funding, but we have full intentions to utilize that space and the equipment that was provided by the grants. Okay, well, we look forward to seeing your voting results, and we'll be around for questions afterward as well.
Can we put 1, 2, and 3 votes on the same thing? That's how we feel. Sure.
If you would like, this is your choice. Your choice. Yeah. No one is judging.
So all your eggs in one basket.
We are putting up the calculator again, just in case you would like to see what, you know, those rates would be as you're making an informed decision. I can scroll down if you need. 3,109. Christina, these are going to go 25 years?
Continuing one was 20 years, the other ones are 25 years. Normally when you purchase a new building, 25 years is a legitimate time.
Well, thank you guys so much for voting. We'll put out the results once we tabulate them on Parent Square, where you've been getting a lot of your information. We'll also include an option for other people that weren't able to make it today but have been a part of this process to vote, just so we capture their voice as well. And when we get the final tabulated results, we'll let you know. So again, we're available for any questions for the next 10 minutes or so, and then we'll transition over to Clackamas River for an optional tour. So stick around if you have any questions or want to go on a tour. But thank you guys so much for coming by and for casting your vote. I really appreciate it.